Man, Free Guy is such a fun movie. Free Guy is about an AI who gets sentient life and soon becomes more human than most people, which is a shame, really. Most people are assholes. Anyway, this movie's a lot of fun and it's got a lot of cool details in it. It's probably going to be looked to be more positive on this one. I was deciding on whether or not I wanted to do this like a kids movie or do this like an adult movie. I'm ultimately going to go with my adult movie approach here. I'm going to talk about the plot, talk about the characters, talk about my likes and dislikes, and then wrap it up with my rating. So, without further ado, let's get started. But before we do that, make sure to hit the subscribe button and punch it right in the face, or else I'll go punch your mother in the stomach. That's so violent. Can I go again? It does mean a lot to us as we try to hit 1,000 before the end of the year. Okay, now we can get started.
That building! That's fake! This street! It's...
Like I said, this movie follows an AI known as Guy, programmed by these two people going by the names of Molotov Girl, aka Millie, and Keys. They originally made a game where the AI can adapt to every situation, and it's kind of like watching a game play out in front of you. Only problem is a guy named Antoine stole the code of their game and made a game called Free City. The two developers now have to go hit Free City and prove once and for all that the game code is theirs. That way they can have their own game. The movie's rules follow basic video game logic. If you ever played GTA before, it's basically GTA. I do have a couple questions on how this game works though. One of the main plot points is that Guy, first getting his abilities, takes the glasses off a player, and then he puts the glasses on and suddenly he can play the game. How does that work? Like if I'm playing the game, right, and this AI takes my headset away from me, is it still on my account that it's playing on? Am I not allowed to play on my account anymore, or is it just suddenly give the AI its own account? I feel like that's what it goes with in the movie, is that the AI kind of has its own account. But like, could you imagine if you're the player? You're just sitting there one day. Oh, I better load up Free City. Then the AI mugs you and steals your shit. Oh, now I'm sad. I know I said it's kind of like GTA with how the game rules are applied to in the movie, but what can and can't you do in this game? It feels like the game kind of just makes things up as it goes along because it's a video game. They're like, oh, fuck it, it doesn't matter. No, they can have any sort of power up they want, which means the movie can cheat and just write whatever it wants in there to fit the script. I will say this about that. For most movies, it pisses me off, but not this one. In a movie where they have very loose rules and a world that they can play around with those rules, it makes a lot of sense. I don't really know what the objective of the game is either. Hell, I'm not even sure how Antoine even still has a job in this company. The way that this character acts and the way that he nonchalantly talks about the lawsuit makes me think, how the hell has he not been caught sooner? The only reason they find out that their code is still in the game is because of a game clip some random streamer found. So out of dumb luck, Keys and Millie found proof of their game inside Free City. Oh, and then coincidentally, in Guy's apartment, there's a reflection on his window that shows the part of the game that they made. How fucking lucky is that? Oh, and that's another thing. How can they get into the AI's apartment? In most games, if you go to an AI's house, it's going to be blocked off. I assume you can't go to the other AI's houses like the Coffee Girls or the cop. I think it's complete bullshit. That's how they find out where the actual island is. Without that, they're fucked. Free City 2 would have already happened. Oh, and then there's a scene where Millie starts to fall in love with Guy, which is later explained to be Keys programming into Guy being her one true love, which is actually very sweet. But the weird part is, in the game, Millie and Guy kiss. The only problem with this, there is no kiss button. How the fuck does that work? How does anything work in this game? What are the rules? What are the rules? Plot's very messy, but it's in a video game type of messy. The only other complaints I might have about the whole plot is how Antoine destroys an entire server with no consequences. I understand that he owns the game, but there's hundreds of other employees that worked on those servers, and not one of them's gonna question why the boss is taking an axe to them. No, he just has a bomb in Free City too. What? I don't get anything else about the plot, so I think I'll just move on to characters.
Good fucking morning, Goldie.
Let's start off with our main protagonist, Guy. Guy, played by Ryan Reynolds, is very charismatic. Obviously, it's fucking Ryan Reynolds. Not only empathetic, but also has so much to learn from the world around him. I think that's the beauty of how they wrote all the AI characters, is that any imperfections they have, anything that they learn throughout the entire story, comes down to coding. That's what they were coded to do. It's kind of hard to judge them as a character, so I guess if I have any complaints about characters, I'm going to try to stick to the actual portrayal of said characters and not how they were written in the story. With that being said, Ryan Reynolds did a fantastic job with this character. And this goes with a lot of the other characters in the movie too, but they did a great job of making them all feel human. There's Molotov Girl, like I already said, her name is Millie. Her main purpose is to gain the rights to the game that she created. She's the one who's fighting the lawsuit against Antoine when Keys isn't, but she also has this compassion to her character that wants to make sure that the AI are taken care of.
I just want the world that I built and the people in it.
That's also a big debate in this movie too, about what do you do if artificial intelligence exists and they have consciousness. While they were originally made by man, they can control their own actions now. Who are we to say that they deserve to live or die? Some kid in his basement's just like, fuck you! I want the robots to kill each other! Keyes is her business partner originally. He works for Antoine for the majority of the movie before he quits, but he's kind of a funny guy. He's played by Nancy's old boyfriend in Stranger Things, which if you haven't seen Stranger Things, you're not going to understand that. The main thing about Keyes is that he tries to do what is best for himself, but he ultimately falls back on his old morale. He was just like Millie, very kind, very compassionate, but at a certain point he let money get to him. He isn't exactly the most memorable character in the movie. Pretty well written, I have no complaints. Someone I do have complaints about though is Antoine, the main antagonist of the film. And I gotta say, he is the worst part of this entire movie. Antoine is so cartoonishly evil to the point where it's just irritating to listen to him. He's also not very intimidating as a character on screen. He just looks like a dork, says the dumbest shit every time he can.
We don't have anything.
What you talking about, Willis?
And he's also just cocky for no reason. His entire character just feels extremely out of place in this entire movie. Almost feels like one of the NPCs just brought outside to the real world. He's a dickhead to his employees. He's a dickhead to his family, probably. He's a dickhead to his wife he doesn't have. He probably touches himself at night. But ultimately, he gets his comeuppance. Woohoo. Taika Waititi, please just stick to directing. Or maybe don't. There's also a lot of fun side characters too. The buffed out version of Ryan Reynolds named Dude.
Catchphrase.
There's Mauser, who's Key's best friend at work. He's just kind of an overall douche as a person. He gets a better angle to at the end, learns his valuable lesson of stop being a douche. Oh, and there's a fuck ton of cameos too. Buddy's a good comic relief character. Alright, I think that's it for the characters here. Let's jump right into likes and dislikes.
Cause I'm your buddy too.
I think he's gonna...
Every single time I do this, I like to start out positive. The style of this movie is fucking amazing. I don't know what it is about like video game style movies, but I've always had a little bit of a soft spot for him. Ryan Reynolds is hilarious in this movie. Probably my favorite part of the whole movie.
There are three things I love in life. Kicking ass, TBD, third thing here.
The random references to different games and media is also very fun too, like the lightsaber and the Fortnite axe and the Hulk fist. But my favorite one has got to be the Captain America shield, which leads into the first best cameo of the movie.
What the shit?
Chris Evans never fails to make me laugh. The second best cameo in this movie though has got to go to Channing Tatum. Channing Tatum has all these like different roles that he'll play, but his comedic roles are always my favorite to watch. Such a funny guy no matter what he's given. He's only on screen for like a couple minutes, but it's still so funny. Speaking of that, let's get on to my dislike. The way that they treat average gamers in this movie, they could have done way better with it. And that guy that they talk to that Channing Tatum plays, he is a fucking loser. The point I'm trying to make is that they don't exactly make gamers look the best in this movie. The effects of this movie, sometimes they're hit and miss. The soundtrack is mixed too. They have some really good bops like the Logic song and some ass songs that we won't talk about here. I do like the plot of this movie, but the rules are so unclear as to what they can and can't do. Especially the glasses shit. That's really about it.
God!
You're 22 living in my house. There is no God.
So my final thoughts about Free Guy. I remember the first time I walked out of the theater seeing Free Guy, I was very confused. I enjoyed the movie a lot, but I felt like that there was something wrong with it. That like one day I was going to end up talking about this movie and I would figure out what that thing was, but I never did. To me, Free Guy is just a fun watch. It's a movie that you don't really need to think that deeply about to understand what's going on. If you want to, great, but in all honesty, you're not missing anything. So let's start with King of the Hill. For those of you that don't know what King of the Hill is where I rank all the movies that I've covered so far, and I basically describe whatever my favorite movie is that I've reviewed so far. My current King of the Hill is Kingsman Secret Service. Now this movie is not touching Kingsman Secret Service. Kingsman is definitely a better watch of the two movies. As for my rating of this movie, I'd give Free Guy a low 7 out of 10. This is not meant to be one of those classics. It's just meant to be a fun watch. And on that note, I think I'm going to end the review here. Make sure to subscribe if you did enjoy this video. Send it to a buddy. Send it to a friend of yours. Instagram, go to ShepBandicoot Clips. Twitch, ShepBandicoot on Twitch. Join our new Discord server. The link is in the description of this video. Alright, I gotta go turn on a fan. It's getting fucking hot in here. See you later, fuckfaces.